The Wagner Group is a Russian private military company, PMC, known for its covert operations in conflict zones. Allegedly linked to the Russian government, the group has been involved in military interventions in Syria and Ukraine. Its operatives are often referred to as Wagnerists. Despite its secretive nature, the Wagner Group's actions have drawn international scrutiny, highlighting concerns about the use of PMCs to advance geopolitical interests. While the group's role in Ukraine and Syria has been widely discussed, its activities in African countries such as Mali, Sudan, the Central African Republic, and Libya have been largely underexplored. The question that arises is whether the presence of Wagner mercenaries in these African states brings more benefits or drawbacks. But here's a question for the various African countries to answer. On the one hand, the Wagner Group has been seen as a stabilizing force by some governments in these African nations. In countries like the Central African Republic and Mali, where rebel groups control large parts of the territory, Wagner has supported the governments in their fight against these groups. The group has provided training and assistance to local armies, thereby enhancing their capabilities to combat insurgencies. In this sense, Wagner's presence has brought a level of stability to the governments and helped maintain their control over the country. Moreover, Wagner's involvement has naturally come with the advancement of Russia's strategic interests. In Sudan, the group has trained the Sudanese army and advised political leaders, which has contributed to advancing Russia's economic agenda. For example, a Sudanese company linked to Wagner has gained gold mining concessions and government approval for a gold processing facility. Similarly, in Libya, Wagner mercenaries have joined forces with warlords like Khalifa Haftar who are fighting to seize power. Furthermore, the involvement of Wagner mercenaries in African conflicts has raised questions about their impact on regional stability. Ironically, the United States, who has through the CIA been a constant destabilizing force on the African continent, has expressed concerns about Wagner's destabilizing influence in Africa. For instance, in Mali, the group has been accused by the US and its allies of helping engineer the departure of UN troops, leading to a potential security vacuum. The future of the agreements between African countries and the Wagner Group ultimately rests with the governments involved. They decide whether they want to continue cooperating with the group to ensure their security and pursue their interests. However, the close ties between these governments and Russia has irked the US and its allies, and as such they have raised questions about the nature of these agreements. And as such they have opined that it is crucial to assess whether the presence of Wagner mercenaries serves the long-term interests of African states or merely benefits Russia and its strategic objectives. In light of the recent mutiny, where the Wagner Group rose up against the Russian state, African governments need to carefully evaluate the impact of the cooperation with Wagner and consider whether it truly serves their long-term interests. While in the past, many African governments depended on the UN for peacekeeping and security and those yielded poor results, the Wagner Group appear to have a totally different proposition which has landed rather well with many African states. Will this cooperation continue given the rift between Wagner and the Russian state? Will there be a re-evaluation of the group's activities? Time shall tell.